And last but not least, we are going to talk about the Season Pass and Endgame Progression Overhaul for Season 10. To help me out with that, we've got Joel, we've got Hurley. Sorry, Josh. I always call you Hurley.
I usually go by Hurley because there's too many Joshes.
Hurley. And finally, JR.
Hello.
So let's get cracking. We have so much to talk about. We'll tee it up with the easy one first, the Season Pass.
Absolutely. So this Season Pass is oversized. Most Season Passes have 1 or 2 armor sets. This one has 4 and a couple other things on top of that. We're bringing back a mount to this Season Pass.
Nice.
Some of the coolest skins I've seen are in this pass as well. And I say that a lot, but really, I'm really excited for a few of these. But I want to ask you guys, what are you excited for in this specifically?
Fox mount.
Fox mount. What?
There's no other foxes in the game, so that is something that you're going to get. I think it's 100 in the
that's
pass,
a must-have. Fox mount is a must-have.
Really nice to have mounts back in the pass. What about you guys?
I like the Celestial Seraphim set.
That's another great one.
It's a hard one to say, but it's a cool
Fox mount for me.
Mine is the Cosmic Moon set. It has a really dope
SFC Grumpy S is available now or next season. It starts on the 13th. October 13th is when
we're going to have screenshots in the video right here, so you should see it right about now, right? Yes. Cool.
That was a cool looking set, by the way.
Really look forward to seeing what you guys think about these. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised. I think our artists killed these items.
The 13th.
So keep an eye out for this. There's some really cool stuff in this pass. More than what you've seen in most of the other passes.
Nice. Yeah, and so, well...
See, about a week out. Yeah, I need that mount too, Jay. I got to have a Fox mount.
The announced blog post is already live. You've all seen it, so that does a pretty good job of like listing out all of the stuff. I'm glad that that's out because there's so much to talk about. We're probably going to forget a couple of things, but we'll start from the very, very top level. So somebody, and I won't say who, already accidentally said that we're raising our gear score.
I don't know what you're talking about, right? 800?
If you hadn't heard.
Yes, 800 gear score. There's a lot of sweeping changes in here. There's a few things we really wanted to hit. We're going to talk about a lot here. This is a very meat and potatoes segment for the in-game progression. Some of the goals that we really wanted to hit for this is we wanted to make sure we felt like even some of the older gear still stayed viable. So yes, we're adding new systems, we're adding set bonuses, infix, we're going to get into those. But we also wanted to make some of the old gear, like the illegal perk combos, still feel viable so you can level those up. So we really focused with the Umbral system to allow all gear to be leveled up. And again, we'll talk about more details on that in a second. But I do want to call out that Umbral is not a crafting system. It is a contextual menu. You click on a piece of gear, you right click, and you can upgrade anything that's gear score 700. It doesn't matter what it is. Everything that's 700 plus is upgradable. So there's a lot of questions on Reddit. There's a lot of questions in the YouTube
I have
videos.
Questions too.
But I want to clarify that if you have a piece of gear, if you use your some of your lower level stuff, if you make some Gorgonite stuff, all of it can be turned to gear score 800.
To clarify though, it's not all items, right? It's just like armor, weapons.
Yes.
Gear.
Armor, weapons, jewelry. You can't upgrade your trinkets, you can't upgrade your bags. Thank you, that is a great call out. You can't upgrade your musical instruments, but you can upgrade your weapons, your armor, and
all
your jewelry.
gear,
if it hits 700, it's good. So all of those old crafting recipes still work. Anything that puts you at 700 plus, artifacts, you guys were asking about those. That's another thing. You can upgrade all of those to 800 as well. All of those items remain viable. So there is some combinations of old stuff that is still good. Some of them are traps. Yes, you don't want to upgrade everything. You want to be very careful. We'll talk more about Umbral in a little bit in the segment there. I think we have it on the list here. I want to make sure everyone's aware that everything can be upgraded. It is not, you don't go to a crafting station. You just click on the item and you can go to the menu and upgrade it with Umbral, which is a currency, and we'll talk about all those details in a little bit. That means anything you get, go for it. 700 plus, have fun.
Why don't we, so the couple of things we did want to mention before we dive into the rest of the way would be small details like attributes. Can we explain attributes?
Yes, so we've adjusted the way attributes work as a whole. We've pulled out all the perks that used to be on the attributes like Soldier, Ranger. Those are all pulled off of all the existing items, and all attributes are purely gained through leveling and the consumable foods that grant attributes.
And we added more attributes to leveling.
Yeah,
right?
there's no power loss.
You still have the same amount of attributes.
We did adjust it, so there's a little bit less total attributes, and that's basically to not allow you to be like a tank DPS person together. So there's a little bit less. I think previously you could get up to like 735-ish. Now it's around like 530-ish. So you can't go 500 dex and 200 strength anymore. So that was done because we've also increased the scaling. Adjusted the scaling on all the weapons.
Pulling this back
so all the weapons that previously only had one attribute that they scaled with now have 2.
This is going to have a lot of people crying.
Kind of adjusted amounts of how much the 2
my
scales
build.
with, and so it
No,
allows
it's called balance.
Wider
it's called
variety of build combinations and kind of making it so you can customize where your attributes go, and those you can
so
kind
I'll
of
have to respect
fine-tune it
my
to
character,
maximize any potential combination you want.
We also want to talk about the perk pass that you did.
There was one perk specifically, the hardy perk on rings. It was basically just if that perk wasn't on an item, there's no point in having that. So we have deprecated the perk and replaced it with some kind of alternative perk functionality. And then we've adjusted the player's base functionality to just work as if everyone had hardy. So you still have 100 max stamina,
definitely needed
but
change.
all the dodge
There was
costs were
definitely
slightly adjusted to basically
which any game that's been out for several years is going to have
before becoming exhausted
this kind of change.
for light and medium, and then you still have the 2 for heavy.
Every game I've ever played has done this.
Dodging is super satisfying, so everyone can dodge freely now without the hardy perk.
Let's dive into Umbrals the rest of the way.
Absolutely. So like I said, you can upgrade anything from 700 plus. It is a menu. You click on the item and it shows up in the contextual menu. Right now, we said in the announced article, I think it was 1,000 cap. That's lacking context. I want to go into that a little bit more. I think we actually changed it the other day. I want to say it's 4,000 right now. But really, the meat and potatoes, the intent is that we want to be able to give you from 730 to 800. We want to let you upgrade 5 items a week fully. The ramp for upgrades is exponential in the sense of the higher you go in gear score, the more it costs. Right now, with the current weekly cap, the target is 5 items total if you go from 730, which is the bottom, to 800.
By the way, for people who play like
me
and you're just playing story,
you can get
this
10
doesn't
790s
matter.
And you can get 15
this is
780s
only for
and still
players
be
who are going to be doing raids.
So if you're looking at experimenting
and,
more,
wanting to
you
do
can
the
kind of pick and choose and try and then fully
this isn't
get
going to
the rest
matter
of
for
the
people
things
like
up.
me who
So
are casual.
you want a full set of 10 items at 790. You can do that the first week, or if you really want to pick and choose, I got a perfect roll on something.
But this is for the people who go all in and want to play the end game.
It really allows a little bit more flexibility. You don't blow through all of the content. We ripped the rate limiters off a lot of other loot drops as well. So if I go into the raid, there's no longer a weekly drop limit. I can go do the raid over and over and over again. So if I want to save some Umbral, every single time I kill one of each of the 3 bosses in the raid, I will get 2 set items. I think the first boss is jewelry, the second boss is armor, and the third boss is weapons. So there's a couple sets in that piece of content. I can go do that. Same with Catacombs, there's multiple sets there, and then there's the PvP reward track that has multiple sets, which again, I can go do any PvP content and get those items. Sets will be a bigger chase there. We built the system in a way that because Umbral allows everyone to scale to 800, it creates a ceiling for us that allows us, if we ever add sets, it's not going to be disruptive to the old sets. It's more about building a play style so that we can have new sets introduced that changes it up. The perk charms, which we'll talk about in a little bit as well, is another avenue there where it allows us to rebalance things without really painfully hurting the player, because now they can switch that perk charm out to something new as things get changed. So with that, with the ceiling and with the perk charms, it really allows us to kind of mess with gear in a way that allows things to ebb and flow as content comes and goes, and allows us to build on the system without cannibalizing older pieces.
Nice. Let's dive into perk charms then, as you said. Why don't you guys take it that way?
Yeah, sure. I'll start us off. So the goal with the perk charm system was basically to give players more flexibility in customizing their builds, right? But we wanted the charms to also be kind of like we wanted like a gameplay loop of just acquiring them, actually. So they're going to be craftable. You're going to collect materials from a variety of content that we've spread throughout all of our existing content. And each recipe will take three materials from out of 11, as well as chromatics. So the chromatics you already have, you can use, and we lower the price of chromatics as well.
Yeah, the chromatics are 2,000 gold right now, and they no longer have a weekly limit, so you can buy as many as you want. So you can just keep getting them from, I think the faction shop is what it is, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's
still pricey, but not something that's terrible, and you can get a lot of those without having to worry. And that will be one of the bigger coin sinks for this.
Yeah, and we have 4 types. So gems we already had, and those continue to be slottable as before. We did do some balance on gems, which you can get into when we get to that. And then we have offensive charms that have more offensive utility, defensive, and then skill are like the ability perks that we had before are now always slottable. So the idea is you can mix and match those like freely.
Yeah, and previously those weapon mastery perks were actually not too desired on items, because when you're like making a set and you get a roll and it's like a chess piece with a Warhammer perk on it, if you weren't using a Warhammer, it'd be kind of a waste of a drop, and it was just an instant scrap. So now you'll have a slot, and you can fill that slot with whatever ability for that specific weapon you want out of the 12 active abilities. You can just pick one and just go with it and mix up whatever builds, and it makes it way easier to pivot and it creates really interesting combinations.
On top of that, the way that perk charms roll is that you can get a mix and match. I think you can only ever get 1 gem socket, if I remember correctly, but you could potentially get 2 offensive sockets. Sometimes they're populated when you get that roll in that item. And I do want to call out, we set up to 4 sockets. That includes gems. So when it rolls, it could be a gem slot, 2 offensive slots, and a weapon skill slot. The only way to get the 4 socket items is from M3s. You can craft 3 sockets, you can find 3 sockets in the world, but M3s are the only place to get the 4 sockets. So that will be desirable content, because that's going to allow for the most flexibility in some cases. And I think that there's really amped up power to some of those sockets. And players are going to look for that customization to mix and match with some of the other pieces.
Again,
or maybe
that's
even ignore
like
sets
in-game progression
completely,
for the
which
people
we'll
who
get
want to
into
go
in a little
all
bit
out.
because of some of the trade-offs.
The idea was like, some people might say, oh, like you always want a set bonus. Like that isn't necessarily true. It totally depends on what build you're going for. Also, because the perks that are available as charms are different from those that are available as fixed, which are different from the infixes, which we can also get into.
Yeah, the fixed are basically what the old perks were, where it's just a specific perk on an item that you can change.
You should expect 1 or 2 fixed item, or 1 or 2 fixed perks on most items. Some more obviously if there's less sockets, but those are the filler when there's not a lower roll of 2 sockets or 3 sockets going to have 2 fixed perks on it, which is the old system.
Well, you mentioned set bonuses. Why don't we dive into set bonuses?
Okay, I'll jump in from there. Yeah, so set bonuses, similar to what you've seen in probably a lot of other games, is the more items of a certain set you equip, you end up unlocking tiers of that set bonus.
And I love set
bonuses. Most of the tiers on the first tier of it are 2 and 4, and the second is 4 or 5, or 2 and 3, or 4 and 5. Yeah, and so you could mix and match, so you could just get 5 of one set, 5 of another set, and have them both active at the same time. Or if you don't want to get the full all the tiers, you could only unlock 1 specific tier of them.
One of them has a 1, right?
Yeah, one set does have a 1 bonus. It makes sense contextually based on how it works, but that one's a fun set. But that one has the biggest trade-off. Yeah, Enrage set. That one has the biggest trade-off, but it also, I think, can lean into the most offensive power. So we added the trade-off to kind of make it more interesting. But that's where the set bonuses are pretty cool, because you could actually, with it 1, 3, and 5, you would actually just get like 1 and 3 and not get the 5 bonus, and then free up some other set bonuses to combine with.
Can we give them, the viewers, what that set is? Do you know?
Yeah, so the Enrage set, the first tier of it, you basically, every time you hit a target, you gain a damage bonus, but you also take additional damage, half of what the damage bonus is. So I think, I don't remember the exact values, but I think it was you get a 2% damage bonus per stack, and then a 1% increased damage taken per stack.
So don't get hit.
That goes up to 10 stacks, and then the additional tiers will increase that to 15 and 25 stacks. And then they also have additional benefits where you gain more stacks quicker based on different attacks. And then all the infixes for that bonus will actually lean into that and give you benefits. So one of my favorite ones is, I like to use dodging offensively, and not many people do that, but like when you're chasing someone and you try and burn a dodge to get them, it can sometimes give you a disadvantage. So there's an infix on that where you actually, as you finish your dodge, it'll actually trigger an AoE that pulls enemies in nearby you.
Oh, that's pretty dope. So you can roll into them and pull them in.
Infixes are really strong perks that can drop in certain areas of the game with those set pieces,
cool.
sometimes on them, sometimes on normal pieces of gear with just sockets and not the set bonuses. And it's going to be kind of a way for you to mix and match some of those sets with normal items,
Also,
or
Jay,
you
like
really
it's only
want
been
the
out for 3
infix
months,
that's on this
so they've
ring
got a
or
lot
this,
of catching up to do, whereas this has
chess
been out
piece
for 3 years.
You know, the Berserker set, you're going to want to find that piece that goes to your play style. So the bonus that Hurley just talked about might be
There's
on
a big patch
only
coming on Tuesday, actually.
a
I need
ring
to
piece.
check
So you need to
tonight,
make sure that you
actually.
build that
Tonight's
way
the big patch.
accordingly.
We'll be
and
playing
that kind
Dune
of makes
Awakening
it interesting
tomorrow,
when you're
everybody.
pairing the
Stay
different
tuned.
sets together
We'll
to make
start
sure,
off with
well,
Ghost of
I like
Yotei in the
Berserker,
morning,
but only with
and
this
then
one
I'll move
infix.
into
So
Dune
now I
Awakening
need to make sure that that's
after
populated
I drop
in
my
that group
grandniece
set.
off at
We should
school
also mention
because
that
I got to
with
do
set
some base
bonuses,
maintenance tomorrow,
in
and I
some
need to
games
check
you might
the
have
new
seen
patch
like
stuff.
it's like only these 5
I don't know if the
pieces
Dune
of the
Man
set,
set's
and you
in
have to
yet,
collect
but
all 5. Like it's a lot more. There's a lot
quality
more
of life
freedom
stuff
in our
coming
system.
tomorrow.
So like basically you can just pick whatever item types you want. But the infixes, like you pointed out, might be only for specific item types.
So adding to that, that's a really good call out. The set bonuses, we'll use the Berserker one. It comes across all weapons. You can get a life staff with that Fury set bonus if you really wanted the Berserker set bonus, and you can mix it.
Enrage set bonus.
Excuse me, Enrage set bonus. You can mix it with a chest piece. You can mix it with legs. You can have 3 pieces of jewelry, a weapon, and boots, and that's it.
This is going to be
really
where the
creates some
meta
of that customization. But where it starts to
of
get locked
things
down is
gets
I really
really
want that
nuts.
infix.
I
so
probably
I'm gonna
won't
take this
be
one
diving
piece, maybe
too
with
much
that
into
set or
this
not,
kind of stuff.
to
I
empower
am
my build.
intrigued by set
And some of
bonuses,
those
though, just for my
infixes actually
character.
compete with similar
But
functionalities
I'm
for
not
other
gonna
set
be doing
bonuses.
Endgame
So,
in New World,
like if you have a
so-
chest piece on both the Enrage set and like there's an Overcharge set, which also
This
does
is definitely for the people
similar
who plan
to
on
Enrage,
raiding
but
and
function a little bit different.
doing lots of
if
the
you want the chest piece
catacombs.
on both, you can't have it, so you'll have to choose between those 2
I'll just be
infixes
casually
and then
looking for something
switch
that
out
gives
the other
me
gear you
cool
want for other ones, and
bonuses
basically
for
lean
my
into
rapier
trade-offs and
range
benefits
build.
and what can maximize all the other perks and enhance your entire build together.
Infixes are basically they used to be exclusive to artifacts, right? Like that was kind of how we defined artifact functionality. So now we've made infixes available elsewhere. But question for you, Josh, is like, what are we doing for artifacts in the new update?
Oh, there's a pretty good amount. So we've done a pass through a good amount of them and kind of changed some of the balance and functionality. We've tried to enhance some of the lesser used ones by giving them additional things. Some of them we realized that like they weren't just a number change that could buff it, or it wasn't like the functionality was good there, but it just needed a little bit more. So one example is like Unmoved. There was one where you just can't be knocked back or like pushed or pulled, and that functionality is pretty good to avoid getting hit by like Scorpion Sting, but we wanted to give it a little bit more, so we made it so now when you're unmoved, you also deal damage to the target hitting you, so you can reflect some of that damage back at them.
That's cool.
We've also, for all the artifacts that scaled on converted the attribute scaling, we've actually adjusted those to now override their attributes entirely. So one example is the Life Taker. It was a Void Gauntlet artifact, and it had attribute conversion that allowed it to scale off of dexterity. And what we've done now is it no longer has focus scaling, and it's and dexterity scaling at an equal tier, and it just kind of changes the way you use the weapon.
Well, and we also the last perk, didn't we make that a slot as well on artifact, or did we?
Oh yeah, we've changed up all the perks that are actually on the artifacts too. They all have the new versions of all the ones. If there was an old version,
There will be
converted
some
into the new
kickback
charm
to some of this.
slottable
You're going to have
system.
some players who are going to cry
and
about
then
how the old
final
system
perk
was
that used
better,
to
but
just be the
ultimately
one
this all
that
sounds
randomly rolled, and then you could choose.
sounds
what it
great
was.
to me,
That
but I
is now just a slottable
I'm always going to side with the
slot
developers.
that makes sense for
given my
whatever item it
background.
is. So if it's more offensive item, it's an offensive slot. If it's a defensive one,
balance
it'll be a
for the
defensive
win.
slot.
Balance for
And
the
then,
win.
Yeah, just switched up the other perks that are on them. Since we've also removed the attributes from all
Yeah, I'm
items,
very
the
interested in
attributes
what
aspects are removed from
Funcom
the
is going to
artifacts
do
too.
long term for
And it's
Dune
just
Awakening,
that
Jay, for sure.
quote artifact infix up at the top.
I don't
of
really
it
do
that we've
Endgame,
leaned
so
into.
And for clarity,
Deep
that
Desert
is
doesn't-
the existing
doesn't
one.
do
So if I
much
already
for
have
me.
those items, that's going to
But the
replace
rest of
my
the
old
game,
perk.
yeah.
in that
What's
set.
up, Bubbles?
Yes. Okay, yeah, so we have pivoted the weapon scaling. So previously you would see it where it had like
By the way, folks, I am going to be
95%
playing New World
dexterity
Tournament after
and
this is over.
65% strength.
This is getting
We've
towards the
adjusted
end,
those
so
another kind of just a
never
tier,
fear,
a
we will be getting
number
into
or a
gameplay
letter
here
to
in
make it make a little bit more sense. So S tier is from 91 to 100, B tier is from 81 to 90, or 81 to 90.09999 or whatever. But we've tried to basically make it a little bit more easy to understand the power. But one reason we've done that is to basically allow for the attribute
What's up, Warmer?
overriding system. So yeah, if you
What's up,
see an
Atara?
item that normally
Yep,
scales
balance
on
is always a
one or two
process.
attributes, we can now override that, and it scales on 2 entirely different attributes, and we can lean into that system and kind of change functionality a bit to make it feel more exciting.
So there's one other thing that we didn't actually put in the article that we've shared. that so this is something that actually I think we released this in the first seasonal server that we did. It was just available, but there's a heart rune in this update. It's the spinning swords and
Phantom Blades.
Oh, the Phantom Blades.
Yeah.
That's the dev name, I think.
Yeah, the back end was spinning swords until we came up with a cooler one.
Yeah. So tell us about that heart.
Yeah, so that one, we actually wanted to kind of lean more into like stealing stuff from the enemy NPCs that are in the game or the enemy AI. And so there was one Dynasty one that basically summoned these like red glowing swords that spin in place, and it just looked awesome and it'd be a really fun thing for player to use. So that's now a heart rune, and you trigger them on you, and they just periodically do damage where they're placed.
That's
and then
cool.
the perks have interesting benefits to them. So one of them, it moves forward, similar to like Firestorm. Another one ends up sticking to you, so it follows you around, and that works really well for like Whirlwind on the Great Axe. So you could just spin and double up the amount of spinning you do. And then we've added a new effect called Sluggish, where it's really good for kind of chasing, running away players, where if you hit them with the spinning swords, it'll inflict Sluggish. It'll prevent them from dodging for just a couple seconds unless they attack you. So it's a thing where if they're running away, it's powerful, but if they're actively engaging in combat, it won't really have that big of a benefit.
There's more. There's got to be more. We'll regret it as soon as we're done. But
I have a small reward thing to add. We've definitely heard you on some of the chase rewards. We added some fun items into the raid as well. I think I'm not 100%, but if I remember correctly, they're 0.5% chance to drop, so they're fairly rare. Each boss in the raid has one item. The first boss has a really cool hat. The second boss has a mount. It's this spectral horse. I'm going to give that one away for free. It's really cool. It's my favorite mount. The third one has another mount. The final boss, I think it's something that players are going to absolutely love, but I'm not going to spoil that one. It's interesting, and it's in line with some of our more popular mounts that I think that we can thank you
Mounts
for
are good,
what
man.
that one is.
Mounts are
but I'm
always
not going to
good.
give that one away. The other thing,
Joel's the mount.
yeah, right. I know it's Thorpe. You can ride on Thorpe's back. We had that at one point in debug, and it was wonderful, but it's not that. With that being said, these items are tradable too. So if you get more than one, you can sell them to other
them on the
players.
broker.
They are super rare. And then
Yeah,
crafting, we also want to
0.5%
mention
drop
that
chance.
all of the perk charms are crafted. You might get a rare drop, but it's pretty uncommon that it'll be socketed in your item or you get the perk charm itself. There is some amount of trade skill you'll need. I think there's 3 different trade skills for the perk charms, but the offensive ones take a different trade skill. The defensive ones and the weapon each take a different trade skill. It's like weapon smithing, armor smithing, and another one. And that will be something that will funnel a lot of crafters into that loop. You can also craft 3 socket items again, so you'll be able to roll those over and over and over again to kind of look for the stuff in the perks.
I know what
and
we're doing
the
as soon
mix
as we get locked
of
into the game. We're
perk
going to be
charms that you
keeping
might want on those
grinding
things.
my.
well, I think we've covered about as much as we
harvesting,
should go for here. Like I said, I think there's probably details we've left out, but I hope we have had a lot of fun putting all this together. You've all outdone yourselves. It takes all of the great stuff that works in your world, it mishmatches it all up in new ways. There should be tons for all of the build crafters out there to figure out.
Oh yeah, this will be the
goal,
meta.
Right, is like the meta. Like we want it to be more of a fluid meta with things that we could change and mix up.
When we change out the gear, it shouldn't make the rest of the gear invalidated. It should just be a different collection. I should be able to feel like I'm still viable. And I think we lost a lot of that in the past. Every time we'd go up from 700 to 725, all that old stuff was gone. This system safeguards that and makes it so everything stays viable. You don't come back at a later point and feel like everything is worthless now and I have to go chase the new thing. You should always stay viable because of Umbral, because of the perk charms. And it's fairly easy to change if not.
Yeah. All right, well, go break stuff.
Go break
Well,
stuff.
thank you for joining us for the Season 10 Deep Dive. We're super excited to bring you Nighthaven. Thank you, everybody, for digging into all the features, all the content. All the players are super excited to play as well. And I guess the last thing to say is, we'll see you in Nighthaven!
On the 13th, it's not too far away. We're almost there, everybody. All right, so that's going to be the end of the developer update. We're going to move over to some actual New World Aeternum gameplay now.